We're all asking a lot of questions about this, and you all seem to care about it a lot. So let's see if any of you have researched anything about this issue at all. Can anyone here tell me what would happen to the illegal alien from El Salvador if he came back to the United States? Does anyone here know? Does anyone want to guess? Any of you?
He could be with his family.
Does any of you know the answer to the question? Legally, what would happen if he came back here? Does any of you know? Any of you? Guys, do you know the difference between a deportation order and a withholding order? Do you know the difference? Any of you? Please. Do you?
Well, we're not in the government.
But you couldn't even spend 72 hours over the weekend learning the distinction, even writing and talking about it this whole time.
Steven, we're not going anywhere. On the gold card.
What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. It's your man Wise, and today we got to talk about the flamethrower himself, none other than Stephen Miller, President Trump's deputy chief of staff, who just dropped straight fire on the legacy media yesterday. He went scorched earth, calling out what he calls a Democrat saboteur behind the release of Abreu Garcia, a criminal illegal alien who should have been deported a long time ago, but instead was left to roam free. Miller isn't mincing words here. He's calling it like he sees it. He's calling it exactly what it is, a deliberate act of sabotage. And honestly, he's absolutely right. And I'm glad that President Trump unleashed him, because every time the media lies, he steps up and surgically tears them apart. Now we're going to get into it real fast because we need to see it. The media is being exposed for exactly who they are: anti-American shills for the Democrat Party. Like, share, subscribe, turn the notifications on to all so you never miss an upload. Let's get into it.
Gentlemen, the return, guys, do you know the difference between a deportation order and a withholding order? Do you know the difference? Any of you, please. Do you?
Well, we're not in the government.
But you couldn't even spend 72 hours over the weekend learning the distinction, even writing and talking about it this whole time.
Steven, we're not going anywhere. On the gold cards.
Just raise your hand. Does any of you know the difference between a deportation order and a withholding order?
My question is, how do you know that he's a member of MS-13? The White House has repeatedly said, according to intelligence.
According to our government and his government. In other words, his government has confirmed based on their own intelligence that he's a member of MS-13. First of all, do you dispute that he's an illegal alien?
What's that?
Do you dispute that he's an illegal alien?
No.
Okay. And do you dispute that as an illegal alien, we have the right to deport him?
He went through
he went through the legal process. So I want to be very... what I'm getting from this conversation, which is educational for me, is that not one person in the media knows the difference between a deportation order and a withholding order. Is that a fair statement? You're learning about this all for the first time right now? I guess so. Okay. So the deportation order means the judge has said he must be deported from the country. He has no right to remain here any longer. He must be removed from the country. So his only options are to be deported to his home country or another country. That's it. There's no other option. He doesn't get to stay here. He doesn't get to live here. He has no future here. He has no right to be here. He's an illegal alien. So when you keep saying return, because you've been spun up by the open borders advocates, you all seem to be operating under the illusion that he would be able to come to the United States and just continue to live here illegally. That's not an option available to him. His only choices in life are to live in El Salvador or to live in another country. That's it. There's no other option, legally or otherwise, because he came to our country illegally. Do you understand that?
Stephen, can I ask, as a matter of policy, does the administration believe that immigration judges, because they're under DOJ, that their orders can be overruled by what the administration wants? Is that a general matter of policy?
Well, actually, so specifically, the Attorney General has authority to overrule the immigration courts, and that's actually by statute. Yes. Other questions?
Stephen, on the gold card, the President and Secretary Letnick have suggested they're lining up applicants already. How many people do you expect to be tagged to this program when the President announces it this week, if he actually announces it this week?
I'll let Secretary Letnick provide that update, but I appreciate that.
The White House administration is going to report 1 million undocumented people.
Much more than that. Much more.
Stephen, also of the 10 alleged gang members that Secretary Rubio said were sent to El Salvador over the weekend, what sort of due process did they get as mandated by the Supreme Court?
Well, you're talking about the alien enemies?
Yes, the alien.
So first of all, a number of those are MS-13. So again, those are just standard removals of El Salvadorians to El Salvador. And without,
what evidence did you provide that they were MS-13?
Okay, so we seem to be confused about this. illegal aliens from El Salvador, again, get deported to El Salvador. Do you all appreciate that like tens of thousands of El Salvadorians have been deported to El Salvador? You seem to be under the impression that El Salvadorians living in our country illegally just get to stay here. They don't. They get arrested and deported. Then the fact that they're MS-13 just puts an extra priority on our deporting them. But we would deport someone to El Salvador regardless of whether or not they were MS-13 if they were here illegally. That's just an extra, because of the priority on public safety threats, we're emphasizing the removals of gang members, in this case, foreign terrorist organization gang members. But as to your other question, they went through all of the due process, as you would call it, that is required by law. So, what I find so mystifying is that I've been talking to you all for a very long time. I legitimately, going back years actually, in my entire professional life, I've never received this many questions from the media about an American who was raped or murdered by an illegal alien. Legitimately never. And all of you who are enjoying your lives and doing quite well, if you had children and you were living near any of these people, you would move away immediately. You would call the police immediately. You would call us and ask us to make you and your family safer immediately. And you thank your lucky stars every night that you have enough means and enough money not to live in communities where, say, illegal alien pedophiles offend and reoffend and keep reoffending and keep reoffending. There's an expression there, but for the grace of God, go I. The Biden administration apprehended 2 illegal aliens from Venezuela. They were trained air robbery. A lot more than 2, but I'm telling you 2. And they decided they were entitled to an enormous amount of due process. And they didn't feel they had enough evidence to just deport them right away. So they put them on a monitoring system known as supervised release. You're familiar with this case. But a few weeks later, they kidnapped a young girl named Jocelyn Nungary, who was 12 years old at the time. I'm sure you've seen pictures of her. Just the most perfect girl you could possibly imagine. And her mother loved her very much. She was tied up, savagely beaten, stripped naked, tortured to death, murdered. Her body was dumped into the lake. So she didn't get any due process, but I'll tell you who did are the 2 illegal aliens from Venezuela who stole her forever. And there's stories like that all over the country. We just arrested a pedophile illegal alien who was being shielded by a sanctuary city, who's been charged in 20 sex crimes against children. None of you, any of you have had the chance to spend time with victims' families, whose children have been raped, or whose wives have been raped, murdered. But if that doesn't break your heart, nothing will. And I know that we have some people.
Yeah, this is crazy, man. That these people are advocating for people that are in our country committing these types of acts. Now, we'll say this. There is some premise to the questions, right? There is some. Illegal immigrants, they can be afforded due process when they enter the United States illegally, which is, and the reason why they can, it's due to the 5th and the 14th Amendments of the Constitution, that guarantees due process to any person, not just citizens. But there's a caveat there. There are some exceptions. Expedite removal can happen. A person can be deported quickly without a full hearing if they're caught near the border and can't prove that they belong here, or criminal activity or national security threats can speed up the removal process. Now, this is where President Trump, Tom Homan, ICE, so forth and so on, this is what gives them the ability to do what they're doing, because they have labeled these gang members as national security threats. They have labeled them as terrorist threats to national security, which in my opinion, they are. And it gives the president and the people who work for him the ability to speed up the removal process, which is what is happening. So there is some precedence there. It can be done. It's not illegal. Hear me now. It's not illegal what the president is doing, which is also the reason why they're going after the criminals. They're going after people who have been deemed national security threats. I haven't heard them just going after, regular Joe Blow that, works and keeps his head down and stays out the way. I haven't necessarily heard about that unless they get caught up in a sweep. That's something completely different, though.
Like Killer Lawrence, who fantasize about assassinations and things like that. But in the civilized society, the power of the state is used to keep innocent people alive and to keep innocent women and children from being hurt. This administration is never going to apologize for using the power of the state to keep men women and children from being savagely murdered and beaten. If we release known and suspected MS-13 and trained Iragua, and then there's another Jocelyn Nungri, then whose responsibility is that going to be? Do you think that we're going to sit around wringing our hands, wondering if, maybe we should, release this person, give them a little bit of extra time, give them a little bit extra chance to plead their case, and then what? They kidnap somebody, they slit their throat, they shoot them in the head, and we say, well, at least the illegal alien got due process. They're here illegally. The only place that they deserve to go is to some country other than our country. And it's not a statistic. These are real lives. These are real families. There's whole neighborhoods in Los Angeles controlled by illegal alien Mexican street gangs. Entire neighborhoods where you have to live in fear because of individuals here illegally engaged in extortion and crime. Not to mention the fentanyl. You have cartels that have functional control over the entire northern territory in Mexico who are pumping fentanyl, lacing our drugs with this chemical. Children are ending up dead. They're going out to a weekend party. They think they're taking something safe, and they get a heart attack and they die by the thousands. So we're not going to apologize for doing something about that. And I just wish we lived in a country where the media gave 1/10 a damn as much about Americans who were murdered and brutalized and savagely killed, beaten to death, as they did about whether illegal aliens that we all agree are illegal aliens should get 1 million days in court and 1 million trials and 1 million this and 1 million that. There's 15 million illegal aliens that violently enter the country. If every one of them got the trial that you're asking for, it would take us centuries to remove them. Centuries. We'd be talking about this in 300-400 years. Their great-great-great-grandchildren would be the ones representing them in court. That's how long it would take. Illegal aliens who come to our country have to be removed, and they have to be removed quickly, and that is an essential component of having something that we like to call a country.
Stephen's absolutely right, man. He's absolutely right. You can't have a country with no borders. In the Biden-Harris administration, they did what they did on purpose because they knew if they allowed these people to get due process with the amount of judges that they have and the lack of resources and personnel to get these people through the process, they knew it would take forever and these people would just be here and they would be able to be counted, against the U.S. Census Bureau, in these areas that are typically Democrat-led. And it would give them the ability to basically, I don't want to say, I guess steal is probably not the best term, but they would acquire more seats in the House. That's what would happen. And for the life of me, I don't understand why these Democrat DNC shields that are called media members who obviously don't do their research, who obviously aren't there to report, to be real journalists, but to be advocates for illegal immigrants. I don't understand how they can't see what he's saying. Or it's a situation to where they know it's happening, but they don't care because it's about power and furthering their agenda. Stephen Miller is absolutely right, man. There are real women, real American citizens who have been assaulted, who have been SA'd, who have been unalived by illegal immigrants, specifically by violent gang members like MS-13, like Trende Aragua, and others. He mentioned it. There are places out in California. There were, apartment complexes out in Colorado where these gamers, they just went in and took over the entire building, took over the whole section of the town. I mean, this is crazy. You have names like, Marilyn Ferris, Sabine Durden's son, young man by the name of Dominant, who was, unalived by an illegal immigrant who had multiple convictions, who still wasn't deported. You had Nisa Mickens. These were Kayla Cuevas, 2 teenage girls from Long Island, brutally unalived by MS-13 gang members. And there's so many other stories out there. He mentioned Jocelyn. You got Lake and Riley down in Georgia. There are countless stories, and it's so unfortunate, man. It's extremely heartbreaking. And you got these fields called journalists who don't care, who have done everything that they can to downplay it, to gaslight families, to smear anyone who speaks out against it as racist or xenophobic. But the truth is this, man. Every life lost to one of these individuals is a preventable loss. And a preventable crime committed by someone who shouldn't even be here in the first place due to the failure of the federal government. It's not about immigration, man. It's about accountability. It's about protecting American lives over political agendas. And until that happens, these women, families, and the American people in general are the ones left paying the ultimate price. I want to hear what you guys think about this in the comment section. What are your thoughts on Stephen Miller? What are your thoughts on legacy media continuing to gaslight the American people, disregarding the American families that have lost loved ones to these individuals? What are your thoughts on that? Like, share, subscribe to the channel. Turn the notifications on. Click that all so you never miss an upload. Come join us at 9:30 a.m. Eastern Standard Time for the Monday through Friday daily live stream. It's one of the nicest, one of the livest chats on YouTube. Come join us there. If you'd like to go the extra mile and support the channel financially, consider joining the ARP family, or you can buy your man a coffee. Link in the description box below. I appreciate the love, the support. Keep God first in your life. Stay prayed up. We'll catch up with you all next time. Peace.
Vibes so raw, can't hide the truth. Words so sharp.